Hey, Volley Truthers. This episode, I am responding to a social media post. You know how I do it. First, I'm going to read the response, then a few of the comments, and lastly, I'm going to give my own personal take on it. So let's get into it. Can a coach blackball you in the volleyball records for other coaches to see if you skip AAUs? LOL. Backstory. Has anyone had a kid that barely plays and they're good, regretfully changed clubs this year where seniority, regardless of better skills, prevails? The grass is not quite always greener on the other side. And you skipped out on AAUs. AAUs has been added. It's an additional cost for June practices. The flight and the hotel costs are absolutely insane. And for what? To see my kid play like 1 or 2 points a set. She's the extra kid, the forgotten player, the watch the girl in her position shank balls and serve out while you stand there and watch the team lose players. I'd rather use that money for clinics to get her into another club. Now, here are some of the responses. Shepard says if you have a prior commitment that overlaps with the date that wasn't communicated well in advance, you probably could get a pass. Coaches and clubs do talk, but it's more usually about the good than the bad. Another response says, I guess unfortunately our summer schedule will not allow us to participate this year is an answer to give the club. Another person says, just tell them that you aren't going. I assume you plan on leaving that club anyway. If AAUs were added, they can't force you to go. Another person says, I get where you're coming from. I truly do, because my kids spent seasons in a similar situation. At the end of the day, I still spent the money for her to go to the tournaments, regardless of whether or not she sees the court. But because she's part of a team, what lessons are you hoping to learn by you only giving value to the girls that see court time? How does this affect her confidence? I worked with my daughter on growth mindset and ego. She is not at the level she needs to be yet, meaning keep working hard. My daughter knows her role on the sidelines. She works as a teammate to encourage the girls missing balls and making mistakes. She supports them and cheers them to the point of losing her voice at each tournament. She refocuses any thoughts or energies about not playing. Another response says, kudos to her and you for the positive attitude. It is so hard to watch your kid watch other teammates from the bench day after day and tournament after tournament. It is expensive, especially for a faraway tournaments. I could have written your response myself, and she says this in a hoarse voice, playing 1 to 2 charity points here and there and yet still motivated to improve. I'm starting to realize, at least in our case, it's mostly a money grab by the club. We could switch clubs, but my player loves the kids on this particular team and doesn't plan to play in college. So switching for one last season is somewhat pointless in this person's case. The truth is, AAU Nationals are absolutely not mandatory. This particular Nationals is a pay to play event, meaning if your team wants to experience Nationals, they can pay to do so. USAV is a whole other bowl of wax, hence the debate between the two on which is better. But that was absolutely another episode. Now, I do know of individual players as well as whole teams that have backed out of attending AAU Nationals. Some had other obligations that happened during that time frame and could not attend, as the other person commented on here. Some players and families felt the team as a whole was not strong enough to compete at any of the levels offered at AAU Nationals. Some feel by the end of the season that the players, coaches, and training just wasn't worth the time or the money to invest in the national season, even if their players were starters. As a matter of fact, There are a few players I know whose families have already informed the coaching staff that they would not be attending AAU Nationals this season. Whatever the reason, though, just make sure to give the coaches enough time to decide if they need to get someone to fill the slot or if the team is not going at all. Parents and players, please note that this does work both ways too. If the player and the family want to experience nationals, but the team does not want to attend, then you actually can go and find a team in your area. As long as your regular season is absolutely complete, you are free and released from your contract and can join an AAU team. So, for example, say the last day of your last tournament ends this Sunday. All the receiving team or coach will need to do is add the player's name to the roster through a quick email. Please be advised that there is a cutoff date to add names to the roster, but AAU is a very understanding of tournaments ending super duper close to the cutoff dates. So now story time. Last season was just about a bust for the team that we were on. After the last USAV qualifier, the parents requested a meeting to discuss AAU Nationals. We were just about done with the season, so we had concluded that AAU was just not an option for us. We had a player quit and one or two that had family plans already mapped out that did not align with AAU Nationals. The coach actually tried it and stated that AAU Nationals was mandatory, but upon getting a consensus from the parents that we did not want to attend and that it wasn't mandatory, she stated she would get back to us. But in the end, we ended up getting a USAV bid anyway. Now, the great thing about AAU is that they plan for teams to drop out. They have an extremely long waiting list of teams wanting to attend and that can replace teams that have already dropped. It is locked and loaded by February. Now, unfortunately, this choice or decision is a crapshoot every year, really. If the area that you live in is small and close knit, then you could run a risk of the word spreading that you did not allow your player to attend. This could lead to questions and explaining your reasoning behind not attending and just getting you heads up. Not attending because baby girl didn't play might not be the best response. So kind of come up with something good, but don't tell them I said so. Now, even though it's very understood across parents in the volleyball community, you still got to keep it on the hush. Now, on the other hand, if the volleyball community is rather big in your area, like if there's an abundance of clubs and teams, well, more than likely, it is not going to matter. You might be surprised at how many parents are in very similar positions. So, the end of the season is fast approaching, and just the thought of all of the extra money we have to shill out as parents for nationals. And I don't care if it's USAV or AAU, it's definitely something to ponder over when your player is one of the ones that see regular playing time, let alone if your player is rarely, if ever, touching the floor. So here's some things to consider when planning to attend AAU or not. Giving early enough notice. This gives coaches ample opportunity to try to find another player to attend AAU Nationals with their team. If you want to attend, you could actually look for an AAU team in your area seeking to pick up players and attend with the team. Or you can form your own AAU team, register, and then attend. Now, remember, the regular season is officially over after the very last tournament if your team did not get a USAV bid or if the team is electing to attend AAU Nationals. At that point, you are a free agent per se. So AAU states a player cannot be rostered on two teams. The more you know, right? So to wrap up this episode, do a Facebook search to see if there's a volleyball page for your area. Like there's a few here in the Virginia, DC, and Maryland area. There's Georgia, Arizona, and more. I'm sure of it. So drop a post in there asking about possible teams forming just to attend AAU Nationals. You'll never know unless you go. Y'all, it's rough out here in these volleyball streets. So until next time, remember, play like you're going to be subbed out. That's all for now, but if you like the content, leave a comment below, spike the like button, and subscribe to my channel.